welcome everybody to this beautiful San Francesco room. My name is Sebastian Katthover from DW Deutsche Welle. Here's with me our audience development team focusing on TikTok, Erika Marzano, and Yasmina Al-Gannabi focusing on Instagram. DW is Germany's international broadcaster operating in more than 30 languages. We operate more than 200 social media accounts, not us, because our role is basically to check in with our editorial teams, help them grow their accounts, use data, use platform insights, and also enable them to achieve their goals. Today, we're going to talk about TikTok and Instagram, about audiences, algorithms, and we will see like there's some similarities, there's some differences, and we're going to conclude what that might mean for publishers. And I still remember when we were thinking about should we apply for this session and how would we apply for that, that I said, okay, so can we share with the audience that we have 5 TikTok accounts generating half of the video reach we have with our 40 Instagram accounts? And I was like, ooh, that sounds a bit weird, right? But still, this is what we observed not only for us, but for quite a lot of media outlets where we see TikTok generates reach in, a short term. Just a little bit of the figures of the numbers behind it. So we have 10 to 20 million monthly video views on TikTok with those 5 accounts. Launched them in the last 2 years. And we have 30 to 50 million views on Instagram, video views per month on average. So for us it's very interesting to look into the similarities with both platforms, and Erika already put upon the slide about the users, so you can already see there's this short attention span that is really the challenge. I think our colleagues from Editorial that we've been checking in with like a lot, they've tackled those challenges quite nicely, and we would like to start and show you a little bit of a show reel where you can see both TikTok examples and Instagram examples in a short film.
Today, I'm getting my hair braided for the first time ever here in Berlin.
As a black woman from the US, I wasn't sure I'd be able to find someone who had experience with hair like mine when I moved to Germany. But I came across Sean, a hair artist specializing in braids, locks, and twists.
Wagner Group is currently drawing attention to is Mali. As we discussed in our recent Operation Backend video, in May-December of 2021, the French government ended its decade-long mission against Islamic insurgents there. This leaves a vacuum of military support in Mali that Russia, through the Wagner Group, appears only more than half.
Maybe we will just continue and talk a little bit about what we've seen so far, Erika. And these were examples like female presenters, young presenters, talking about news stories. And when we take a look at the audiences both on TikTok and Instagram, we basically see those female and young audiences, right? So, and are there any differences between them, or are they basically the same? What can we say about, and what are our observations on our accounts about that?
So first of all, I would say that our first choice to join TikTok was led by the audience. You can see in this slide that 60% of the overall worldwide TikTok audience is comprised of people of what we call Gen Z, so people born after 1996, 1997. And the peculiarity of this audience is that it's mainly and only on TikTok. They're very specific in what platform, social media platform they choose, where they are online, and they are not anywhere else. So us, as Deutsche Welle, when we decided in 2020 to change our vision and start targeting audiences starting at 14 years old of age, we had to go where they were, because they wouldn't follow us on other social, they wouldn't follow us on a website, on TV, on radio. Then, of course, we focus on many developing markets, and we want to increase our female audience. And the second data here is that 57% of this audience on TikTok, these TikTok users, are women. So that's where we could find them. But I don't want to overshadow the Instagram numbers, because you can see them, and Yasmina can intervene in this.
Yes, so I have to take the part here to defend Instagram a little bit. So in terms of, obviously, the younger generation, Gen Z, are, according to our observations, more present there on TikTok, but this doesn't necessarily mean that you as an outlet should totally forget about Instagram. You still have the opportunity to be present there and to reach out to an audience that is probably also very much interested into topics that public broadcasters, for instance, as Deutsche Welle, have to provide. So if you are news-oriented, if you are a little bit activistic, if you are specified in a certain niche, obviously, Instagram is still the opportunity there to go to and to reach out to an audience and go into a dialogue with them. I think that a lot of people underestimate the importance of community management on Instagram. So part of the success is obviously coming from the opportunity to have a discussion with the audience, trying to understand what their needs are, trying to understand what the topics they're burning for, where the niches are, so where you can fill in the gap. As a public broadcaster, it's very important to understand the needs of the audience. When you assume a public broadcaster, you probably have the idea, 60 plus is their audience, especially from a German market perspective, but nevertheless, trying to reach out to a younger audience, going into dialogue with them, gives us the opportunity here, and you see that the market is quite balanced between men and female followers, which I think is also very important. So not only to reach out to a younger audience, but try to focus on gender topics, and gender topics doesn't necessarily mean only the typical female topics that public broadcasters try to reach out to with their audiences, but also activism, environmental. So there is a lot of topics out there that we can fill in the gap. And something, unfortunately, that we're not able to see there in our video is that there are similarities. So there is the opportunity, if you are a creator, if you are a broadcaster, whatsoever, to have content that probably you can adjust a little bit and rephrase it, reframe it, and use it for both platforms. So in terms of showing faces, both platforms love to see faces. Showing the stories, showing the people behind the stories. So not only numbers and features when it comes to Instagram Reels, but really showing the people behind the topics. So I think that this is very important, and obviously having a niche topic that will attract the audience.
I'm a bit stubborn, so I want to try once again if the rest of the video can be shown. Just we'll try. If not, I'm going in the middle, because it keeps on going the time, but never mind. It wasn't my time. I then want to also add, yeah, you gave strenuous defense of Instagram, but on TikTok, the average time spent by these Gen Z, that, as I said, they're very specific in their choice of their social platform. So they're mostly on TikTok, also in the time they spend there. The average session, so when they open the app and they stay there, is 52 minutes a day, almost an hour they spent there. Is a very sticky platform. And when the all session time is like over, they usually stay there for at least 10 minutes, 11 minutes.
But it's about the quality, not the quantity.
I was trying to show off a bit.
So when we prepared this, we were talking about the two characteristics of the platforms, and they are very much driven by the algorithms, obviously. And one factor, like, was an observation. TikTok is more like a could be a very close filter bubble, because you'll get suggestions very much related to what you've previously seen, whereas Instagram maybe has some features or has more features and gives you more space for discovery, for discovering stuff that you might not be like super close with. And maybe we take a closer look at the algorithms and explore this, which will lead us to other stuff like analytics and editorial effort. But before we do this, what are the core differences and what are similarities between the two platforms here? And I would like to ask you specifically, Yasmina, because it seems like Instagram is a bit more complex.
I wouldn't say more complex. I would use the terminology more sophisticated, sorry. But rather like really having the attention war. You have to win the attention war on Instagram. There are so many other content creators out there. So it's not only broadcasters, it's like really the content creators. And I think that this is also a mindset that we have to change as journalists, that we're not competing with other broadcasters, but also competing with activists and creators out there. This is the main point. The next point would also probably be is there are a lot of opportunities for you on Instagram to appear. So people are content-driven, topic-driven. So they go there for an Instagram account to see not only the content, but obviously because they're interested in the topic. So they're human beings. If at a certain point in their life they suddenly realize, oh, I'm no longer interested into that topic, so they will mute you or probably unfollow you. But this is, I don't think that this is a disadvantage or this is a problem. This is rather for you a chance to grow. And number-driven work, I think that this is very important, to try to pull out your learnings from the numbers and not blame. I think that this is also a mistake committed by a lot of journalists, like put the blame on the platforms. Because to be honest, they want to drive revenue, and they're there to gain revenue. So if you see that your interaction rate is dropping, or your reach is dropping, your video views is dropping, it's not only because Instagram has changed in the algorithms again and probably shadow banning you, but probably because people are no longer interested into the topic. They have probably seen a lot of other people or another broadcasters that are doing the same thing as you are doing, but more appealing. So I think that storytelling is very important on Instagram. It's key on Instagram. So it's not fancy pictures and influencers and Emily in Paris-driven content, but especially after the Black Lives Matter movement, we've seen that a lot of activists are being there very successful. Indigenous community in Canada and in the US, female-driven topics. So yeah, these are the topics where you have to fill in the gap and try to see how you can then fill out in the different features. So it's not only videos, you have to produce stories on a daily basis. You have to produce reels on a daily basis. You have to produce feed posts on a daily basis, simply because Instagram gives you the opportunity, and this will increase your views, your outreach, and people having the opportunity to discover you again and see that you really are growing, and people love to see the growth. And I think that this is where Instagram gives you more opportunities.
I think you introduced the topic in correct way, because you said more complicated or more complex in terms of Instagram algorithm. But the reason why the TikTok algorithm might seem easier to understand is that it's not completely transparent, so we only know so much about it and about how it works, and this much is what TikTok has shared with us. The first big revolution of the TikTok algorithm, that TikTok introduced it as a video sharing app, as a social media platform that still no other platform has up until now, is that all the users are pushed immediately as they open the app, even when they don't have an account, on the so-called For You page. If you are on TikTok, you know this terminology. So the For You page is an endless stream of videos of people you don't follow. And this is important, I want to underline, because all the other platforms, even in their vision, they say we prioritize content of people you follow, of your friends, of your subscribers, of your acquaintances, or whatever is the terminology. TikTok wants to push videos of people you don't follow, and this automatically transforms followers in a non-important KPI, so a non-important goal for whoever has, especially publishers, an account there. And how does this For You page work? The For You page is led by a completely AI algorithm. AI, artificial intelligence, meaning that there is no person behind checking basically the content, which could be very dangerous as well. And this AI algorithm tries to predict what you, user, like, and will always try to give you what you like. That's why it's so sticky, because you stay, you're saying, oh, I'm seeing things I like. And how does it recognize whether you like it or not? Watch time, how long you watch or you rewatch the videos. You interact, you end up following them, you end up swiping, you share the video with your friends, etc., etc.
Erika, I have to say to both of you, I have a husky problem on TikTok. So I once checked some husky videos. Now Instagram does the same. So once I watched a husky video, now I'm like spammed with huskies. So
dog content is great. I'm a dog owner.
Okay. So there's something there, like getting close a little bit in this, maybe?
I would say, sorry, Yasmina, and sorry, Meta people, if you're here. But you're trying to copy a bit TikTok. I'm not working for TikTok, okay? So I'm not paid by them. You don't see me powered by. But you're trying to copy here. But I think they admitted it. I think Adam Mosseri in one of his lives said, yeah, it's our first competitor, and we would like to be more like that, right?
I mean, competition makes the platform vivid, right? So, but even when it comes like in comparison for the For You page, you still have the opportunity also to be discovered by new users with the Explore page on Facebook. So, Instagram, because around 50% of users of Instagram discover new content there. So if you use proper hashtags, proper wording, proper geolocation, whatever. And don't misunderstand, just because you're using a hashtag doesn't necessarily mean that everyone has the same experience using hashtags. I think that a lot of people misunderstand the followership of hashtags. So even if the three of us would follow the same hashtags, Collie owners, we would still have different experiences there because of our interaction rate. So if Sebastian would, for instance, like more Collie content rather than husky content, he would probably have another experience than I do, who really posts under the hashtag Collie owner a lot of things.
It's good that you are not into COVID misinformation content, otherwise it would be down in that path and in that bubble.
One thing I get from your discussion is Instagram is more of an effort, obviously, for publishers. So Yasmina, you wouldn't agree if I say, okay, you need more content to be successful as a publisher on Instagram? Yes or no?
Totally agree. You need more content to be more successful, because the attention battle there is huge. As mentioned earlier, you have so much competition out there, so you have to be present. You cannot allow yourself to publish less content just because you're on vacation or whatsoever, and not publish content throughout, I don't know, 2 weeks or something, and then come back and say, oh, we were on Christmas holidays, and now we're back.
Yeah, maybe take a look at our news accounts on Instagram, DW News, DW Espanol, the frequency of postings of stories and everything compared to we have a Africa-specific DW News account for Nigeria. So I would be curious, and it's a bit of an interactive part here, what you think would be the editorial output needed on Instagram compared to TikTok. So I'm trying to read the question slowly. Maybe I was a bit too fast. So you will have two options, and I would ask you to raise your hand. So first I'm telling the question, and then I'm telling you both options, and then we're going to vote. So, okay, a bit of complication, but listen carefully. How much higher is the editorial output needed on Instagram compared to TikTok. Editorial output needed on Instagram compared to TikTok. First option, double the editorial output. Second option, even higher. I know it's a bit blurry, but we're going to come back to that. So double the effort or even higher. First one, double. Who thinks it's double? Or even higher. Second option. Okay, thank you. We have a smart audience here.
Okay, bye. Session, so no.
Okay, so let's talk editorial output here, and maybe go a bit deeper into it. What have been our observations on TikTok? So is there like an easy way with few content items to grow? Is it like a easy thing?
Absolutely. So the launch is very easy. From observation on competitors or other media or our own accounts, we've seen that you can survive, thrive, go viral with one video a day. Some our departments even 4 to 5 a week. And the maximum number that most publishers, but also creators, publish on TikTok sometimes is 8 times a day, but that's like, woo, huge. And even more into how easy the editorial output is, the TikTok algorithm that I mentioned before is not time sensitive at all. So everything you put out could go on this For You page for up to 3 months after you have posted, so people will see it up to 3 months later. And this means you can plan ahead, you can have evergreen content. Of course, it can pose a threat to news agencies, news media, or breaking news, because breaking news, if something is breaking and then you're like, oh, it's appearing on a screen 3 months later, no longer breaking, maybe no longer news, quickly swipeable. Even though there are some tricks like never mention today this thing happened, yesterday happened, but just say on the 2nd of April this thing happened, this is evergreen. It can be a later explainer. If it's seen on the 2nd of April, good, it's breaking news. If it's seen in December even, something goes viral, it's for a year viral on the platform, then people are like, okay, on the 2nd of April this happened.
But we also have to talk about steadiness, right? Because we have been really amazed by this initial growth, but it might be, compared to other things in life, sometimes you're very euphoric in the beginning and then things calm down a little bit, right? And what's like the downside of this like initial euphoria we had?
The downside is fluctuation, unpredictability. I got your attention when I said the word viral, but rest assured that you never know what can go viral. You can be sure, oh, this post will bomb. No, it flops. And also, I mentioned followers is not a big KPI, meaning not a big goal, not a big sensor of your success. You can have a lot of followers and still flop. And since your followers won't be watching your videos mainly just because they follow you, so you're like, okay, I have 1 million followers, so I should have at least 1 million views on my video, maybe even 500,000, half of my followers will watch my video. No, you could even have 900 views, that for someone who has 1 million followers is like,
Yeah, I'm also not a big fan of having the amount of followers as your KPI, and I think that this is also a big mistake that a lot of creators and publishers commit, to be excited about the amount of followers. So it's really amount of interaction rate, amount of views, watch time. I'm a huge fan of having watch time as your KPI, because this is when you can measure the success. Something else that you could do is improve your storytelling. Having a journalistic background and not only like being a person developing strategies for different editorial departments, but also like knowing what it is to tell a story gives me the opportunity to see if after a certain seconds, frames, whatever someone drops off. And if I recognize this pattern very often on certain videos, I can obviously have a closer look at my videos and see what's happening there. How can I adapt the storytelling so it can be more attractive? And in terms of the amount of opportunities that you have there on Instagram, also there you can see where can I thrive? Where are the topics that I can fill in? I know that I'm keep on repeating myself about the topics, but this is very important. A lot of people underestimate that you cannot simply be there colorful and having all sorts of topics out there. People really follow for a topic. If you are someone who is more reliable and an expert on a certain topic, I don't know, let's say environment, then stick to that topic. Don't be an environment expert today and tomorrow you're an expert on cars and after tomorrow you're an expert on fashion and the day after you're an expert on, I don't know, like dog grooming or whatsoever. It's like you have to have a sustainability, and I think that this is what you mentioned earlier, like recognizability. People, when they land on their feet and they're scrolling through, you want them to turn from a scroller to a clicker to watch your video, because obviously you have, when you have a reel, the preview there in your feed, but if your video is a little bit longer, you would have to click there to see the rest, or maybe to hear the sound. If you have, for instance, here we have as output picture gallery or a composition of picture and video gallery. I'm a huge fan of having, I don't know, kind of a thumbnail. Thumbnail, for those who don't know it, this is like the first image that appears if you scroll through your social media. So instead of having like a thumbnail, you have like a picture with statistics, with a face or whatever, and then the next slide would be a short video. The slide after would be a deeper insight into the topic. So you can play around with features. And I think that this is where the advantage of Instagram lies in comparison to TikTok.
Well, one question regarding this term of steadiness, because obviously you have to put more work into the platform, but as Erika mentioned, you have these fluctuating values, like you have this initial growth phase, but then it's hard to keep things where they've been. Our experience, for instance, with like more newsy accounts or more niche accounts is like more positive. Or what would you say about that?
Exactly. So we've had really, in terms of fluctuation on Instagram, not such bad experiences as TikTok. So we really have, at a certain level, when we reached out to our audience and understood what their needs are, we have more stability there. This doesn't mean that we have a huge amount of followers on certain accounts that are very, very niche. But again, this is not the target. As long as my followers are active and interacting with me, I don't care if they're 10,000 or 10 million.
But I want to say, you just mentioned, don't be sustainability activist one day and then a fashion guru the other day. On TikTok, be a sustainability activist one day and a fashion guru the other day, because TikTok is recommending your videos only to the people that are interested in a certain topic. So on the day your video ends on the For You page of a fashionista, then the fashionista will watch you. On the day then instead and
here, what it's mentioning, it's available on third-party tools like StoryClash. StoryClash only has Reels interaction data, and it has to be posted on your Instagram feed
to be able to see it.
It's kind of
so not correction, but like addition. Yeah. So whenever you want to have more numbers to work data-driven, unfortunately, Instagram still has a lot to develop and a lot to do. But I'm hoping, since Reels is a new feature and since Instagram is putting so much effort into it, that at a certain point, Meta realizes that publishers, creators, whatever, need more data there. And when you have Creator Studio, obviously, you have another problem. So if you have an Instagram account, you also need a Facebook page to connect it, to be able to see the insights in Creator Studio, because otherwise you wouldn't have access to Creator Studio. So there are a lot of problems out there. And clicking into the account or having to go into the account, this makes, because I'm also a social media security officer at Deutsche Welle, it's kind of problematic. Needing to have, you have a team, a bigger team working on the Instagram account. They're probably working on different locations. We have, for instance, an Indonesian team, so we have people sitting in Jakarta, and not only in Jakarta, like in several Indonesian islands, and we have our team in Bonn. So whenever someone logs in, suddenly you have the verification code popping up or whatever. This makes my life as a social media security officer very hard. So yeah, I also hope that at a certain point, using Creator Studio, someday maybe you will have the opportunity to upload Reels and to upload stories. And I get on their nerves of Meta every time they have a webinar or whatever, asking the same question. So it's like always, Yasmina is asking when is stories going to be available there in Creator Studio, because this is, as a publisher, a big problem. Then obviously third-party tools, Sebastian already mentioned it, they are there, but they're not giving you the data that you need to improve your storytelling, like identifying patterns that I mentioned earlier.
It's a bit of patchwork, and when we talk about TikTok, it's also a bit of patchwork, right?
Yeah, since I want to fight, if you say that it's complicated to get some data from the analytics of Instagram and specifically Reel, I want to say that the TikTok analytics are a nightmare for our analytics people. When we say we are opening a new TikTok account, I can see them put their hands in their hair. Because basically everything needs to be done mobile first. Yes, there's a desktop version, but TikTok in its vision is always saying we are a mobile first app, we are an app, so not much is available on desktop for the moment. Then you can see the first point, they have no public API. For those of you who don't know what an API is, well, I also don't exactly know, but it is a set of data where third-party tools can connect, and then they can download the data and show them to people like me that don't know what an API is. And TikTok, for the moment, doesn't have this, so no third-party tool can analyze this. They can do something called crawling, but this is not sustainable. The numbers change, and most importantly, analytics expire after a certain time. Right now, luckily, they have increased up to 90 days maximum, so 3 months. It used to be like only 1 month available, so when our analytics people needed the data from our departments that have TikTok, they had to send screenshot of every single video analytic. And okay, we said the editorial output is not that big, 1 video a day, but still in a month is 30 videos and then 4 accounts, but there will be more, so etc., etc.
A lot of screenshots.
A lot
right?
of screenshots.
A lot of screenshots. And we're very thankful for our analytics colleagues who do the work, this workload. And it's
Shout
increasing because we might launch a few more on TikTok. And we do have one example to show you. A disclaimer is StoryClash is using this crawling technique. So they are crawling the accounts you tell them. And then they're looking at video views, interactions, and everything. And compared to other tools, it might not be like 100% precise like CrowdTangle, but for us, like 90 or 85% is sufficient to draw strategy conclusions, right? And this here is the Indonesian market. We will launch an Indonesian TikTok very soon, because what we've seen is, and you might see the pattern here, effort, right? Erika, maybe you can talk us a little bit through one of the examples here.
Yes. So first of all, TikTok in Indonesia. Indonesia is the second market in the world in terms of TikTok users. So that's why we are launching it there. We have an Indonesian team, and almost 80% of the TikTok users in Indonesia are Gen Z. So really an audience that we are not reaching with our other platforms. But you can see, I hope it's clear, the last column is TikTok posts, how many they post in a month. And okay, these are very high numbers, but the green ones, so those that are working, you see highlighted in yellow, like 39, so almost 1 a month or slightly more, it depends. And when they post 39 videos in a month, it was between the month of February and March, the column just before that shows you the views, 6 million views with 39 videos, and they had a growth of plus 445%. Only TikTok views. Compared, same period, sorry, I have to show off a bit, they post 337 posts in general.
Not including stories.
Not including story posts, so
only
feed posts in general, so videos, pictures, galleries, reels, etc. And they achieved 325,000 views. So 6 million views, 39 posts.
With the disclaimer that if they post reels not in the feed, those reels might not be included. So you know, it could be a bit shaky, right? But if you look at all of the other players on the chart too, you see a pattern, right? You see some of them are really successful on Instagram, but still they have to put more effort into this in terms of editorial output. It seems to be quite clear for this market at least.
At least for the Indonesian market, definitely. But there are other markets where the graphs look like a little bit different. But nevertheless, like coming back to the opportunities that you have there on Instagram, at the same time, as Erika mentioned earlier, the predictability is a little bit harder there on TikTok. So it might be that with a specific video, you went viral and reached everyone, but at the same time, where is the sustainability there? And the sustainability by people really noticing you, interacting with you, following your account, keeping up to date there, and something else, this is a scrolling and stories are not included, reels that are not in the feed posts are not included in the previews, so numbers might be there a little bit different. In the journalistic school, back in the days, like a long time ago when I studied, they showed us a triangle. So where you have on the one hand the audience, which is there on the peak of the triangle, and this is where you want to reach. Then you have the content, and then you have the platform. If this is not completed, you don't have the opportunity to reach out to an audience. So I think that this is very important that we step a little bit away from the Eurocentristic perspective and try to see where our audience is. So which means if you would like to reach out to Gen Z and you would like to reach out to Gen Z in a certain market and you see that TikTok is more important, is more successful, go ahead, do that. But if you see that your market, your audience is rather present there on Instagram, so probably you should think about staying on Instagram and simply improving your storytelling there and having a known identity. And if you see that neither nor is there, but probably, I don't know, Viber or YouTube or whatever, so then you go and be on YouTube. So you have to have all three parameters to complete the triangle because your content is there, you're there, but your audience is not there. What's the sense? So try to complete the triangle to be there successful, to thrive with your content, regardless of the platform.
So coming from the very title of this session, you might have expected like a clear argument for this platform or that platform. You see it's like very differentiated, like you have to look at the markets, the audiences, the output, your mission and everything. And that's basically our part until here, right? Oh, yeah, that's true. And we are open for questions from here. And if I'm not correct, you can raise your hand. Then you speak out, and then I have to repeat your question so that everybody...
No, we reformulate the question to the
streamers.
Yeah.
Okay, because the streamers also need to hear. Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you. This was very interesting. Thank you. I have a question about the last part, about what you were saying, having this triangle ideally, but you have chosen to be on all of the platforms, right? So my question is, do you have to differentiate content if you want to be on all of the platforms, or would you rather say that you shouldn't be on all platforms?
Mm-hmm.
I assume you have chosen
I think that maybe we have...
First reframe.
Rephrase it, sorry.
So the question is regarding or referring to the triangle. For journalists or media, do we like try to push all the content to all the platforms, or do we like specifically design content for each platform? No? Oh, sorry.
No, no, like.
You rephrase it.
Okay, I will rephrase it. So,
Or just repeat it.
so as a content creator, is it better to really focus only on one platform and produce content for one platform, or produce content for all platforms? Did I rephrase it correctly? Great, awesome. Yeah. Just to avoid misunderstandings, we as Deutsche Welle, Sebastian mentioned it earlier, cover over more than 30 languages. So not all our language services have social media appearances on all known social media platforms. So, for instance, our Pashto and Dari department, they don't have a Twitter account. We have other languages who have a TikTok account, but they don't have an Instagram account. But they will probably have one soon. So I still think that it's very important to fill this entire triangle, and to tailor the content according to your users' need that we didn't speak about today, but also, and I'm sorry to say that, we're service providers and we're using a platform that it's not ours according to the platform's need. I don't know if you guys agree with me.
Yeah, and departments, they come to us and then we do a research. What's in the market is we mentioned Indonesia, second in the world for TikTok, but recently another department, our Portuguese for Africa, came and asked, should we open a TikTok account? Quick research in countries in Africa that speak Portuguese. No, there is no market yet. Very important word, yet. So for the moment, if you open an account for there, people won't see it, won't be interested, and it will probably flop.
The next question, yeah. Thank
So if I understood correctly, if on TikTok you publish various topics and then someone follows you for environment and then they go on your profile and they see that you will always also talk about fashion or wars or COVID or whatever, would they be unfollow you or not follow you anymore? So very interesting research from TikTok itself. So I'm based on this. Very few people, so very few audience members check profiles. So they see on the For You page your video, they interact with it, maybe they even follow you, but then they don't go back. So they, back on the For You page, maybe they will see only your environmental videos and the fashion will never show up. Or maybe they're also interested in fashion and they will see both. On each of your videos, you can see the source of the audience. So where does the audience come from? Usually, I can assure you, I don't want to say big numbers, but 90% is a For You page. So they saw you on the For You page. Very small on profile, very small on followers, so people that follow you, and that's where the following feed. And others remaining is from hashtags or sounds. If you are on TikTok, you know what I'm talking about. So the danger right now is not there. Maybe the algorithm will change and we'll have to change our whole strategy. But yeah, the danger is not there.
Maybe two remarks on this. So if you are not 100% sure of what your mission will be on TikTok, this is perfect because you can try a lot of things. And for the first TikTok accounts we did, the editorial teams had total freedom. So one of the first was Berlin Fresh, and they were like, okay, it's gonna be about Berlin, and it's gonna be about human rights, a young lifestyle, but try out things, and was quite a good start there. On the other hand, you have like a brand, you have a brand voice, and this is the other side, right? So you want to act and stay like in line with your brand.
Yeah.
So these are the two things we have to balance, and I would say like we are now out of the early experimentation phase on TikTok, so we won't do that again maybe, but I think for those who want to start, who haven't yet started, this is a good thing to try out things.
Is based on you. If you open a TikTok account now, and you check, your For You page will be your interest. My For You page is my interest.
Yeah, but is it based on the person? Like, I watch TikTok from you. Will I get more TikTok because it's you, or because
Rephrase.
If you watch, I'm rephrasing. If you watch a TikTok from me or from one of our videos, our accounts on TikTok, will you be watching more because you saw mine? It's not so much connected with the account. It's the topic. The AI recognizes the topic from various things that you say, hashtags, things that you write in your caption. So not necessarily just because you saw a video of a certain account, you will be seeing more videos of that account, even if you follow it.
Next question, please.
Thank you, first of all, for this entertaining presentation. I felt very understood as a social media manager who also likes to look at data. Thanks for that. I have a question for you, Erika. Since TikTok now first started copying an Instagram product with stories, are you already thinking about a strategy for TikTok stories?
So right now,
Rephrase.
question is that TikTok is introducing stories, and are we thinking of a strategy for stories? I've launched a poll to all our TikTok accounts, and right now only one account has received this new feature because it's still in the phasing out version. And this account currently doesn't have the capacity to produce more content in general. So right now we are pausing it. I've also seen and tried to look online what are the data that we get. You said you are a data person as well, and apparently not so much is available. So but this is something that we do with most of the new features on all platforms. When there's a new feature, it should be like official. We should have as much as info as possible, and then we start thinking of a strategy.
Yeah, next question, please. Mm-hmm.
I'll take off my mask. It's easier to speak out. Do you think all the statistics, I mean, you're storytellers, and do you sometimes think, oh, fuck the statistics, I just want to tell the stories? Is it a limitation or is it an inspiration, if you get my question?
Okay, so the question was if statistics don't work as we want them, are there more a limitation or an opportunity? I would say that they are an opportunity because you really have their data that you can rely on to understand that your community likes or dislikes your content. Being part of DW stuff, I don't know if you're aware of our role and of our content, but not everyone is a huge fan of what Deutsche Welle does. So we have even governments that block our content. We have governments that totally block our social media appearances or whatever. So I rather see it as an opportunity to understand because people might not want to follow us in certain countries. Let's say, for instance, Iran. Deutsche Welle content is blocked in Iran. You can't access Deutsche Welle website in Iran. So the only opportunity to reach out to your audience is really via social media. So if I have the opportunity there to understand that people don't want to follow us, to not have problems because the Iranian government might say, oh, they're following DW Persia. Probably I should question this person. Why does he or she interact with Deutsche Welle content? But if they would still access our Instagram account and they would still watch my videos, and I see via the statistics that my content is seen in Iran, I can see that We come back to the KPI followers. Is that a proper KPI, yes or no? In this case, no. Because people in Iran would obviously not follow DW Persia because they don't want to be in trouble with the government. But they would still watch our videos. They would still share them with their friends on WhatsApp groups or whatsoever. So yeah, I see that as an opportunity. But I can totally understand where you're coming from, that as a journalist, you don't want to be a service provider. But in the end of the day, we are.
Okay, I don't see any further hands. Oh, there is
I
one.
see it for them. So, rephrasing, how does this work in terms of staff? Do we have our TikTok content creators, or it's part of a reporter's job? Totally depends on the department, on their capacity, on their budget. So some departments have budget to have an exclusive TikTok only or TikTok mainly stuff. Others are just social media managers that do TikTok and YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. So it really depends on the capacity. That's something that we and also the management request when they present a concept for the account. So how do you think you're going to fund this? Or you say you want to post 3 times a day. How? Money-wise. The first account when we started, we have an exclusively team, a TikTok team. The first account that was launched, this Berlin Flash that Sebastian mentioned, yes, they hired 2 people that were creators on TikTok already, but then they had other journalists from the department that came in. So there were on the TikTok side, the TikTok creators, and then there were the journalistic / department / our DW values side.
Yeah, next question.
When we were working in our school, we use Instagram and we have like a style guide. Is that also important for TikTok to have like the same layout?
So, question is, when they work, for Instagram specifically, they have a style guide. Is it important for TikTok? Yes, it's important for us for all social. We have a style guide. So this is, I would say it's important for any brand, broadcaster, media to have a style guide. Sebastian mentioned our brand voice. That should be consistent everywhere, regardless of the platform. But adapted to the platform, okay. If you mainly do, I don't know, horizontal videos for some reasons, only everywhere, then don't join TikTok, because TikTok is not a horizontal platform. So if it doesn't fit in your style guide, in your values, in your statute, in whatever, then just don't join.
Okay, thank you everybody for your attention. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.